Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Clarence I. Morales, base Cream 11B, and this is my report. The Third Philippine Republic. The birth of the Republic. Third Philippine Republic was inaugurated on July 4, 1946. It marked the culmination of the peaceful campaign for Philippine independence, the two landmarks of which were the enactment of the Once Law in 1916, in which the U.S. Congress pledged independence for the Philippines once Filipinos have proven their capability for self-government, and the Philippine Independence Act of 1934, popularly known as Tidings McDuffie, which put in the place and 10 years transition period during which the Philippines had Commonwealth status. The Third Republic also marked the recognition by global community of nations of the nationhood of the Philippines, a process that began with the Commonwealth of the Philippines joined the anti-Axis alliance known as the United Nations of June 14, 1942, receiving recognition as an allied nation even before independence. Thus, the inauguration of the Third Republic marked the fulfillment of the long struggle of the independence that began with the Philippine Revolution on August 23, 1896. Recent scholarship suggests on August 24, in which was formalized on June 12, 1898 with the proclamation of Philippine independence at Kawit, Cavite. From 1946 to 1961, Independence Day was celebrated on July 4 on May 12, 1962. President Diosdado Macapagal issued Proclamation number 26, 1962, which declared June 12 as Independence Day. In 1964, Congress passed Republic Act number 4166, which formally designated June 12 of every year as the date on which we celebrate Philippine independence. July 4 in return was been observed as Republic Day since then. Manuel Ruas, the Ruas administration, May 28, 1946 to April 15, 1948. President Manuel Rojas, in his first State of Nation address, detailed the challenge the country was facing, the aftermath of war, a government without financial means to support even its basic functions, scarcity in commodities, especially of food, hyperinflation, the tragic destruction of economy, and still ongoing rehabilitation among the different sectors of society. In an effort to solve the massive socio-economic problems of the period, President Rojas recognized the government of proposed proposed a wide-sweeping legislative program. Among the undertakings of the Third Republic's initial year were the establishment of the Rehabilitation Finance Corporation, which would recognized in 1958 as the Development Bank of the Philippines. The creation of the Department of Foreign Affairs and the organization of the Foreign Service through Executive Order Number 18, the GI Bill of Right for Filipino veterans, and the revision of taxation laws to increase government revenues. President Rojas moved to strengthen sovereignty by proposing a central bank for the Philippines to administer the Philippine banking system, which was established by Republic Act Number 265. In leading a cash-starved government that needed to attend the battered nation, President Rojas campaigned for the parity amendment to the 1935 Constitution. Amendment demanded by the Philippine Trade Relation Act or the Bill Trade Act would give American citizens and industries the right to utilize the country's natural resources in return for rehabilitation support from the United States. The President, with the approval Congress, proposed this move to the nation through a plebiscite. The amendment was necessary to attract rehabilitation funds and investment at a time when public and official opinion in the United States had swung back to isolationism, the Cold War, and the corresponding reversal in what been heretofore a return of isolationism would only came a few years later. On March 11, 1947, a total of 78.87 of celebrate vote in favor of the parity amendment. The approval of the amendment had provided the nation with 620 million in war damage compensation through the Philippine War Damage Commission, a major initiative arising from preliminary wartime discussions about the future security of the Philippines was the U.S.-Philippine Military Bases Agreement of 1947, which gave the United States the right to retain the use of 16 bases, free of retained, with the option to use 7 more for a term of 99 years. The Rojas administration also pioneered the foreign policy of the Republic. Vice President Elpidio Quirino was appointed Secretary of Foreign Affairs. General Carlos P. Romulo as permanent representative of the Philippines to the United Nations helped shape the country's international identity in the newly established stage for international diplomacy of relations. During the Roas administration, the Philippines established diplomatic ties with the foreign countries and again membership to international entities such as United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, the World Health Organization or HWO, the International Labor Organization or ILO, etc. on April 15, 1948, following of speech before an audience as assembled airmen at Clark Field Air Base. President Roas died for a heart attack. Vice President Elpidio Quirino assumed the presidency on April 17, 1948. This is Elpidio Quirino. The Quirino administration on April 17, 1948 to December 30, 1953. President Elpidio Quirino's goal as chief executive, as stated in his first State of the Nation address, revolved around strengthening the people's confidence in the government and restoration of peace. In order to achieve this, the chief executive traveled around the country to inspect firsthand the condition of the nation. President Quirino established the Committee on Social Amelioration through Administrative Order Number 68. In order to efficiently promote the welfare of citizens in the rural district, he established the Social Security Study Commission by virtue of Executive Order Number 150 to investigate socio-economic problems of the working class and formulate legislation developing social welfare. The Labor Management Advisory Board, established by the Executive Number 158, formulate labor policies and conducted studies to the way and means to preventing, minimize, and reconcile labor disputes. The Agricultural Credit and Cooperative Financing Administration, established by Republic Act No. 821, assisted farmer and security credit as well as developing cooperative associations to efficiently market their agricultural commodities. The Quirino administration reached out to the leaders and members of Hukbo ng Bayan laban sa Hapon or Hukbalahap and the Pambansang Kaisahan ng mga Magbubukid or PKM to negotiate peace and put an end to the insurgency in 1948 through Proclamation Number 76. The government granted amnesty to the insurgents that surrendered arms. The negotiation failed to persuade Hukbalahap leader Luis Tarok and the other rebel leaders as they conceded to register but never disarm. From 1950 to 1953, Secretary of Nation Defense Ramon Magsaysay and President Quirino exerted efforts in reforming the nation armed force and promoting welfare of citizens in the rural areas through the Economic Republic Corps or ED Corps and Land Settlement and Development Corporation. This resulted to an considerable improvement to the country's insurgency problem. There were over 25,000 armed communists in early 1950, two-thirds of which had either been captured, killed, or had voluntarily surrendered. An estimated 60,000 firearms were surrendered or captured. The Quirino administration came to close the presidential election of 1953. It was a battle between incumbent Liberal Party of President Elpidio Quirino against the charismatic nationalista candidate Ramon Magsaysay. It was a landslide victory for Ramon Magsaysay, who agained 68.9% of the electorate. This is picture of Ramon Magsaysay. The Ramon Magsaysay administration on December 30, 1953 to March 17, 1957. To help the Roland mice was the focal point of the Polish administration of President Ramon Magsaysay. President Magsaysay insisted in meeting of communicating with his people. In his first executive order, he established the Presidential Complaint and Action Commission, which investigate various citizen complaints and recommended remedial action through different government agencies. The commission served to boost the nation confident with its government. It was seen as a fulfillment of President Magsaysay's promise, stated on his inaugural address, to become a president for the people. The principles of the Magsaysay administration were codified in the Magsaysay Credo and became the theme of leadership and public service. Among the accomplishments of the Magsaysay administration were the Social Security Law of 1954 or Republic Act number 1161. In an effort to solve the problems of communism and insurgency, President Magsaysay sought protect the arms through the creation of laws such as the Agricultural Tenancy Act of the Philippines or Republic Act number 1199, the Land Reform Act of 1955 to the Republic Act number 1400, the formation of the Court of Agrarian Relations through Republic Act number 1267, and the Nation Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration or NARA through Republic Act number 1160. The administration achieved victory over insurgent with the surrender of Hak leader Luis Tarok in 1954. In the field of international diplomacy and defense, President Magsaysay through the Manila Pact of 1954 on the Southeast Asia Collective Defense Treaty led the establishment of the Southeast Asian Treaty Organization or C2. The Laurel Langley argument signed during the Magsaysay administration give the Philippines a preferential trade system with the United States and other countries. Among its provision were the right to impose quotas on one quota articles in the right impose export taxes. On March 17, 1957, President Magsaysay and 25 other passengers of the presidential plane Mount Pinatubo perished in a crash at Mount Manunggal, Cebu. Vice President Carlos P. Garcia succeeded to the presidency on March 18, 1957. This is picture of Carlos P. Garcia. The Garcia administration on March 18, 1957 to December 30, 1961. President Carlos P. Garcia, in his inaugural address, sought the help of support of the masses in the accomplishing the tremendous responsibilities of the presidency in the carrying on the legacy of the Magsaysay administration. President Garcia used the momentum of the previous administration campaign on social welfare and signed the amendment of the Social Security Law through Republic Act 1792, established the Social Security system. On September 1, 1957, President Garcia ran for the presidential election of 1957. It was the first time of electoral history where there were four serious contenders to the presidency, namely Jose Yulo Claro M. Recto, Manuel Manahan, and President Garcia. The incumbent president on the election with 41.3% of the electorate. It was the first time that president was elected by plurality of candidates instead of a majority vote. It was also the first time where the elected president and vice president did not came from the same political party. President Garcia was nationalista and Vice President Diosdado Macapagal a liberal. The Garcia administration promoted the Filipino First policy whose focal point was to regain economic independence, a national efforts by Filipinos to obtain major and dominant participation in their economy. The administration campaigned for citizen support, patronizing Filipino product and services, and implemented important import and currency controls favorable for Filipino industries. In connection with the government goal of self-sufficiency was the austerity program, which President Garcia described in his first State of the Nation address as more work, more thrift, more work, more thrift, more productive investment, and more efficiency. The aim to mobilize nation savings. The Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act through Republic Act number 301 aimed to prevent corruption and promote honesty and public trust. Another achievement of the Garcia administration was the Bolin-Serrano Agreement of 1959, which shortened the term of less of the U.S. military bases on the country from the previous 99 to 25 years. President Garcia lost to Vice President Diosdado Macapagal in the presidential race of 1961. This is picture of Diosdado Macapagal. The Macapagal administration on December 30, 1961 to December 30, 1965. To solve the immediate problems of the present and to build materially and spiritually for the future were the goals of the new era. President Diosdado Macapagal, during his inaugural address on December 30, 1961, emphasized the responsibilities and goals to be attained in the new era. That was the Macapagal administration. He reiterated his resolve to eradicate corruption and assured the public as honesty would prevail in his presidency. President Macapagal to aim at self-sufficiency and the promotion of every citizen's welfare through the partnership of the government and private sector, and to alleviate poverty by providing solution for unemployment. Among the laws passed during the Macapagal administration were Republic Act number 3844 or the Agricultural Land Reform Code, an act that established the Land Bank of the Philippine Republic Act number 3466, which established the Emergency Employment Administration Republic Act number 3518, which established the Philippine Veterans Bank Republic Act number 3470, which established the Nation Cottage Industries Development Authority or NASIDA to organize, revive, and promote the establishment of the local cottage industries, and Republic Act number 4156, which established the Philippines National Railways or PNR to operate the national railroad and tramways. The administration lifted foreign exchange control as part of the decontrol program in attempt to promote national economic stability and growth. In the in the field of foreign relations, the Philippines became a founding member of Mapilindo through the Manila Accord of 1963. The regional organization of Malay State strove for Asian solutions by Asian nations for Asian problems, and aim to solve national and regular problems through regional diplomacy. The Macapagal administration closed with the president election of 1965. The poor boy from Lubao was defeated by the nationalista candidate Ferdinand E. Marcos. This is Lectures of Ferdinand E. Marcos. The Marcos administration on December 30, 1965 to February 25, 1986. The last president of the Third Republic of the Philippines was President Ferdinand E. Marcos. Prior to the events of martial law, the first term of the Marcos administration, as emphasized in his inaugural address on December 30, 1965, focused on the revival of the greatness of the nation. President Marcos, faced with the challenge of corruption in the government, reorganized the armed forces, the Philippine Constabulary, and the Bureau of Internal Revenue in an attempt to solve the problem of technical smuggling. The Bureau of Customs was also recognized the administration with a goal to strengthen the local economy, devise construction programs and irrigation projects, the promotion of Philippine heritage, culture, and arts was achieved through the establishment of the Culture Center of the Philippines, or CCP, in 1969. Under the Marcos administration, the country hosted the Manila Summit in 1966. The conference aimed to resolve the Vietnam War and sought the restoration of peace and promotion of economic stability and development throughout the Asia-Pacific region. Among the laws approved by President Marcos were Republic Act No. 5186, or the Investment in Sensitive Act, Republic Act No. 4864, or the Police Act of 1966, and Republic Act No. 5173, which established of the Philippine Coast Guard. President Marcos won his re-election bid in 1969 presidential election against Liberal Party Sergio Osmeña Jr. President Marcos gained votes of 61.47% of the selectorate to become only the second Philippine president in history to win re-election and the first to do so in the Third Republic. On the 30th of January 1970, to protest the violent dispersal of the student lead. During President Marcos' fifth State of the Nation address 4 days earlier, a demonstration was held in front of Malacanang Palace. This event intensified into a protracted and vicious battle between authorities and the students who tried to storm the palace. A fire truck was rammed into one of the palace gates. Properties were destroyed. The fires were started by the rallies. 2 persons were reportedly killed and 106 were injured. The incident and the rallies thereafter became known as the First Quarter Storm, a period of unrest marked by the series of demonstrations against the Marcos administration. On November 27, of the same year. Bliss Pope Paul IV traveled to the Philippines attending to the 63.2 million Filipino Catholic faithful. It marked the first time the head of the Catholic Church visited the country, surviving as assassination attempt upon his arrival. The pontiff continued his Philippine visit. He officiated the first papal mass in the Far East in the Manila Cathedral, as well as an open-air mass at the Rizal Park. As opposition of President Marcos grew significantly due to corruption in the administration of Liberal Party, then saw an opportunity in the midterm election of 1971. The meeting, the advance of the Liberal Party, held at Plaza Miranda on August 21, 1971, was cut short when two bombs were hurled at the opposition candidates, killing 9 people and injuring about 100. Because of this incident, President Marcos suspended the right of habeas corpus, leading to the arrest and incarceration of 20 people. The Plaza Miranda bombing, alongside increasing threat of Communist Party of the Philippines and its military wing, the New People's Army, and the Marcos staged ambush the convoy of Secretary of Defense Juan Ponce Enrile on the night of September 22, 1972, where the pretext of Marcos' declaration of martial law on September 23, 1972. By virtue of Proclamation number 1081, the said proclamation was dated September 21, when in fact it was only put into effect on September 23. Opponents of the administration were incarcerated. Decree-making powers were asserted by the President, and when ongoing constitutional convention produced a draft document. A series of barangay established were held to prevent Congress from convening as scheduled in January 1973 after claiming approval of a new constitution to dictatorship ordered Congress padlock to ratification of the 1973 Constitution marked the end of the Third Republic and the beginning of the Bagong Lipunan, the new society as martial law regime was called under President Marcos. In 1981, through Proclamation number 2045, martial law was lifted throughout the country and marked the beginning of the new or Fourth Republic of the Philippines.